This is Karen O'Brien, and today I want to show you how to use the QGIS model development tool to build a model that will take your ASCII data from a FLO-2D results and rasterize it. So this is a fairly simple process, but we have to have a few things in place before you get started. So first of all, you have to have your FLO-2D project because we'll need the grid layer and the computational domain layer to build into our model. And we also need the ASCII data preloaded onto the map too. So if you need to learn how to load the ASCII data onto the map, just watch the previous video that talks about how to plot or how to map ASCII data from FLO-2D. And we'll also need the QML file. So this is just the style file from any of these maps. So if you take your map, your rasterized data from here, and you right click it, you can export. This is one that I've already set up manually, but you can export the style layer by clicking export and save style layer file. It'll give you an opportunity to name the file, and the name will be important. Keep it simple and to remind you of what the name means. Let's say max combine raster depth, and that will be, save that right there. So to get started, let's get rid of these two because we won't be needing those. Remove those. We'll be building those and add those back. Now, we also need to load our model. So I'm going to just grab the model from, oops, dang it. Yeah, well, hold on. I'm not sure what that was. So let's do that again. Open the existing model, and I'll just open the rasterized results. And what we're going to do in this is recreate this. And we're just going to recreate it over here. So just to start, we need input data and extent data. We need to rasterize it. We need that style layer, and we need to export it. So let's start with the inputs. So if over here you open the parameters input, we don't need any variables. So I'll just close that down. I was hoping I could expand this, but I guess that's all you get. So let me grab a vector layer. That's what our input is. And we'll just name the vector layer. We'll just call this input from points layer. And the geometry type is point because this one will only be applied to that FLO-2D ASCII data. And it is a mandatory file. I don't need any other columns. And I'll just move this over here out of the way. And then we need to do the exact same thing. Call a layer. So let's just check and see what this one has. It's just polygon external. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Extent layer parameter definition. Okay, that's fine. So it's the same thing, vector layer, and we'll call this input from grid layer because that's where this is going to be coming from. And the grid layer is a polygon geometry. Now that will limit, so we don't see all the other layer types when we go to load this. It will limit our geometry type to polygon. And we'll put this here. And then the next thing that we need is the rasterized results. For that, we need an algorithm. And you can search your algorithms just by clicking rasterize. And then in this case, I need this one right here, this Saga Rasterize tool. And this is set up the exact same way that your typical Saga Rasterize is set up. This is our input data. I'm going to change this to model input, and I'm going to use input from points layer as my model input. The attribute will be, let's see, I might have to open up this one too to remember how this works. Attribute is field 4, attribute, okay, and then I think I'll just copy this. I'm getting all this stuff from the extra layers so that we can remember how to do the cells and then results. Okay, and cancel. All right, let's go back to this one and rasterize point data from FLO-2D. Input data from points layer. The attribute is field _4. And separate field names. Okay, we only need one field name. Attribute is what we want, and the value is first. The method for lines is 0, 0. Those are not important. It's a float variable, float band. The output extent, we'll get to that. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. The output extent is easy. It is from a model input, and extent layer. Actually, we want it from input from grid layer, input from grid layer, and cell size goes from a value to a pre-calculated value, and we use the editor right here, the function editor. So I'm going to paste this function in here, and then I'll break it down. It's pretty easy. So we want an attribute from a layer. So the first command is attribute, but we don't have the layer yet. So then the next command is get feature ID from the layer for feature number 1 using the field cell size. Okay, so the attribute command goes like this: attribute open, and then it will be layer and field. That's how the attribute command works. So what we're doing is we're just replacing the get feature ID into the layer, and then the cell size is the field. Now the get feature by ID works like this. Well, and you can get these all from here. Get underscore feature by ID. First of all, it'll tell you how to set it up, and then if you double click it, it'll add it into your it'll add it straight in there, so it's ready, and set it up so that it's ready to go. So then this is the computational domain comes from here. So if I say layers, or let me just say computational domain, you can see that it's under map layers. So if I take that out of there and I go down to map layers, you can see that all the map layers from that FLO-2D project are already in here, and we need computational domain. Now this is what's important. This ID is different for every project. And so if you want to use this in a different project, you might have to update this, but you'll still have it. You'll still have the command. So your layer is, let me get out of here, computational domain. I just double click that. If I did this, like if I do this, I can just double click this, and let me delete it, and it'll pop it right in there. And so you see that that's in there. And then the feature we want is 1. There's only one feature in this layer, so that's perfect. And then the field we want to call the value from, the attribute from, is called cell size. And now look, down here it says that no feature was found on the layer to evaluate the expression. That's not true. This expression works. It's this, so just ignore this message down here. That's okay. Just click OK, and it'll pop your information in here. And then the fit is cells, and then results is, we'll just say that and click OK, and it automatically creates our results. So let's move this over here just so that we can kind of see what's going on. And now we have this one. So this one's a little bit complicated, so I'm going to open it before I create it so I can remember what I had, how I made this. Okay, so this is just setting the style for the algorithm output. So let's click this guy. Well, actually, I can make it a little bigger. Yeah, there we go. We want to see that. So I can click this guy, and I do want an algorithm output. And then the rasterized, well, let's see, rasterized, this is actually the one we want because this is our new one. So we want the rasterized algorithm from rasterized point data from FLO-2D. And then the style file, I'm going to change that too because I updated that. So I'm going to just copy this just in case it doesn't take me there. And I'll click the browse button. Oh, it did. It took me right there. And I'll grab the QML file that I just created when we started the video. And then I'll click OK. And so hang on a second. Oh, you know what? Dang it. That was stupid of me. I bumped it to the wrong, I did the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I was just supposed to look at this data, not change it. Let me get that back. This one's fine. That QML file is fine. Okay, there. And actually wanted a new one, a new style. Just come to the algorithm side of this command bar, or this, and type in style. And it'll say set layer styles. Oh, you can set a style for a raster layer too. I wonder which one I used. I don't know that it matters. Okay, so the raster layer will be the output from the algorithm, and then we have to make our algorithm this one, rasterized, and then our style file is here, and click OK, and now that's it. And then let's just call this raster style depth, just so we kind of know what's going on there. Wait, did I do that right? Yeah. And then hang on a sec. Why is this one slightly different? This is a style for rasterized layer, rasterized from rasterized algorithm and QML. And this one is wonder if I had any dependencies. I cannot remember. Let's see. One dependency selected. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we do. We need that one dependency. Yeah, sorry about that. I knew something was missing. So we need this one dependency, and it was results. And click OK. No, dang it. Get me back to my dependency. Let's try that one. Yeah, there it is. Okay, that's better. All righty. So then, as you can see, this data kind of goes to this point right here and is set up before the results are made. So it kind of just connects itself to this point, and then it's ready to go. So you can save your model, and we'll call this, well, I'm just going to save it right here, rasterize model results, and click yes. And now now I can just delete this model, and I can move this model over so that it looks nice over here. And then if I wanted to take a look at the code from this model, I can export it as a script. And then I could call that script in like some Python console code, or maybe even in a plugin, and it would automate this. Anyway, so it's kind of a cool process. Let me cancel that. I'm not going to do that because it's a whole different topic. So let's just run it and see if it works. So first of all, let me save it just because I want to make sure that I saved it. And then if we minimize it, and I'm just going to click this run button. Here, let me do this. And there we go. And run. And then so we get our input from our grid layer. So that just goes to G for grid. Wait a sec. Yeah, G. That's our extent. This is our depth. That was already loaded because I'd already done it. And then save the results. We do need to save that to a file. And I have a bunch of them in here, so I'm just gonna cover one of them. And I'll save, and yes to replace it, and then run. And what you'll find when you're building this is that you're just going to kind of break this about 1 million times, and then finally you'll get it to work. But It comes in, it looks really nice. It goes right where I wanted it to go in my results from ASCII group because that's where my data was. So that was really cool. It worked really nice. Anyway, so that is the model, and I will save the model to a link in the comment or in the area where the description area of the video, so you can get a link to the model and maybe import it into your QGIS profile so that you can use it. And again, these all go in your QGIS profile is like this. Users, C drive users, the name of your computer, app data, roaming, QGIS, and then profiles. And this is where you can start putting all of your profiles. And the models go here, processing. They go under processing models right here. So then when you open QGIS, they'll just load right up. But you'll have to tinker with them to make them work for your coordinate system, which is easy. You come in here and you update this layer right here, and everything else should be grand. Okay, so I'll close that, and that's it for the video, and thank you for attending.